to Debbie's Bill, where we talk about issues that matter to the state, void of politics, fear or favor. Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Dafeamekpor has called for a radical expansion of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, insisting the anti-corruption body cannot remain concentrated in Accra and expect to win the fight against corruption. The Saudi Member of Parliament, speaking in an interview, said the Office of the Special Prosecutor must establish offices across the country, especially in districts where he believes corruption is deeply entrenched. Responding to questions about his earlier criticism of the OSP's performance despite its budgetary allocation, the Majority Chief Whip said he still believes the OSP can do better. He explained that President John Mahama had appealed for patience with the institution and asked critics to allow it time to grow. He said the real test of the institution will be its willingness to expand beyond the capital. According to him, corruption is not limited to Accra and Tema, and the OSP risks missing widespread abuse happening in the district if it remains over-centralized. Mr. Dafeamekpor pointed to findings in Auditor General's report as evidence that financial misconduct is widespread in local assemblies and state agencies outside the capital. If you check the Auditor General's report, crime is pervasive in the district within assembly, especially lot of pilfering and deliberate decision on the part of public servants to simply ignore the law and do what they would do and pilfer from the public purse. He proposed a structure where the OSP would have a regional offices coordinating district-level operations across the country. The Saudi Member of Parliament maintained that the presence of OSP officials in districts alone could serve as a deterrent against corruption. Asked whether the OSP still deserves more time to prove itself, Mr. Dafeamekpor answered in affirmative, but cautioned that patience must be matched by visible commitment and expansion. So, the Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxanne Dafeamekpor, is appealing or calling on the Office of the Special Prosecutor to have its branches in all districts and all municipalities. And the main reason is to fight against corruption. And this is because if you look at the current results or findings of the Auditor General, it tells you that corruption is ongoing in districts and municipalities and these assemblies. Recently, there was a member of parliament who got a former member of parliament, I think so, got so angry because in the Ashanti region, the MMDCs that were supposed to do their work, they were not attending meeting for a decade. They don't even know what is going on in their vicinities, in their districts, and in their municipalities, but they were taking common fund. And so the question lies on what were they using those common fund for? Because common fund is meant for development of this district, development of the assembly using that money for development in their own community or in their enclave. And so this municipal chief executive, district chief executive who are supposed to supervise these affairs were not doing their work, but they were taking the fund, the common fund. So what were they using the money for? That is the question. And so he called for the resignation of all these MMDCs if they feel like they can't do their work. You see, so it's kind of sad. But let's take the OSP. Let's just look at the OSP. Now the OSP also have a very huge issue. For the OSP, we are not even done talking about the challenges of the OSP. The OSP office has been created for how many years now? There is nothing to prove. There is nothing to show. I wouldn't sit here and rubbish the work of the OSP because to him, he's doing enough. But you see, you cannot always prove to people with your mouth that you are doing enough without showing evidence or without showing working. You don't show what you are doing. What you are doing is not being visible out there. So automatically you are telling us that you are doing basically nothing. Because if an office is being handed over to you and you are to work, what the people expect is the evidence of what you've been given to do. So if physically we cannot see what you are doing, then there is no need for the existence of the OSP. But here lies the case. The OSP also, in what is going on, we've realized that the OSP do not even have the power, do not even have the mandate to prosecute corruption and corruption-related cases. And according to Article 88, it means that the Attorney General has the sole power to prosecute. And so, in a way, OSP is not independent. Although the office is being termed as an independent office, but OSP is not independent because anything that has to do with corruption and corruption-related cases, you have the right to interview, he has the right to do his research, to gather facts, and convince us that this person is guilty of the crime. But to prosecute these people, the Attorney General has to give him the command to do so. If the Attorney General does not tell you to do it, you cannot, because that is it. So, for the district, the OSP having branches in all these districts, municipalities, it is a good one. But have we also thought about the other side? The OSP has challenges on its own. The OSP as a main body, the main office in Accra here, we cannot see what that office is putting across. And then creating a sub-offices. Now he said something that kept me thinking. The president said, so he was being asked, you are saying we should create offices. The OSP should have branches. Well, that is good. But you know, this OSP as an office or as an institution has a problem on its own. And you were the same person, because let me remind you, Dafeamekpor was part of the members of parliament, some members of parliament who was calling or who were calling for the total overhaul of the OSP. I mean, like the scrubbing of the OSP, the office of the OSP. Let me say he was the lead convener. But it looks as if now he's saying that, well, this is what we have. We need the OSP needs branches. So he was being asked, but this is what you said. Why are you trying to? I mean, all of a sudden, it's like you've changed. What happened? And then he said, the president said, this is getting so interesting. Trust me. He said, the president said, we need to give time. Now, this is where I come in. For how long are we going to give the OSP time? We know what is on the table. Are we done solving the challenge that is glaring in front of us? Does the Attorney General still hold the 99% of power when it has to do with prosecution of cases and not interfering in the affairs of the OSP? Or the OSP can do whatever it ought to do without being interfered? How long should we keep giving the OSP time? My case is, if we feel like the OSP is not producing enough, we should just scrap it off. We have other agencies, we have IOCO, we have other agencies who are also into the same thing. The same issue that has to do with investigating corruption and corruption-related cases. So with the OSP getting branches, for me, it's an excellent idea. Because see, a lot of things is a lot of looting is ongoing in our districts, in assemblies. People are embezzling funds that is meant for the assembly. They are not using the money for its intended purpose. And so I buy into his idea that if you want to fight corruption, you don't sit in Accra, you don't sit in Accra to Tema, and then you claim you're fighting corruption. Because in as much as corruption is going on here, corruption is going on in the Volta region, corruption is going on in the Northern region, corruption is going on in Upper East, Upper West, in the OT region. Like, corruption is going on everywhere. And so if we are serious in fighting corruption, that shouldn't even be a case. But our seriousness can only be determined if this challenge is, if we are able to solve it. Because tell me why you convince me that a body is independent, but I can't fully work as an independent body. And anytime I have to take decision, I still have to run to someone. The Attorney General, we know, is not independent because the Attorney General is being appointed by the executive. So the Attorney General is not independent. And that was the main reason why the Office of the Special Prosecutor was created, because we want it to be an independent body to fight corruption. But as it stands now, I don't even know where we are heading to when this has to do with corruption. Let me be sincere. We failed woefully. We failed woefully. And for me, there is no assurance. There is nothing that gives this positive vibe that we will be able to fight corruption as it stands now. Because even issues that has to do with corruption and corruption-related cases, how well have we dealt with it? If we take a look at the past years, issues that involved corruption, the people, public officials that were being mentioned, that were engaged in corruption, how we dealt with those people as an individual, how we dealt with companies, state-owned companies who embezzled state funds. I mean, the history it's a bad record throughout. And so the fight against corruption shouldn't always be on paper. We are joking, I'm telling you, we are joking. It shouldn't always be on paper. And when you come to me and you are reading big English on paper and you're telling me that you're fighting corruption, you're just fighting corruption on a paper, not on grounds. We need to see evidence of what you are doing. And when we don't see that, then it means, I'm sorry to use this word, but it's a useless office. Because if you can't see what that office is producing, then it means that that office should not have existed at the first place. So he's saying, the president said we should give it time. Time. We know the right thing to do. This is not about time. We know the right thing to do. And for me, I believe if the right thing is being done, come on, we will fight corruption. But because we are not doing it, and sometimes it made me think that even the people claim they are fighting corruption are corrupt. Because if you are not corrupt, fighting corruption should not be something that it should be very, very difficult for us. Other countries are fighting corruption and they are succeeding. We are not different from them. We can equally do same. Until we realize that and take that bold step, let's forget it. We can bring in policies, bring in people, bring in new initiatives to fight corruption, and we will just be beating around the bush. Thank you for making time with me on the screen.